Shifting focus, Republic has also accessed the first visuals of Sri Lankan Navy rescuing Iranian sailors who survived the torpedo attack on the Iranian warship IRIS Dana on the 4th of March, which was launched from a US submarine about just 20 nautical miles off of Sri Lanka's coast. Now, 32 survivors were brought ashore following the attack. That's the latest that we're learning. And in fact, we're also getting in the visuals. These are the visuals that Republic has accessed exclusively. In fact, the Indian Navy has also stepped in and joined the rescue operations since the ship was being hosted in India at Visakhapatnam for a naval display exercise. In fact, our senior editor Shravan Sen also joins us live on the story to get us more details. Shravan. In fact, before Shravan Sen joins us on the broadcast, viewers, let me remind you, these are the visuals of Iranian sailors being rescued off of a coast in Sri Lanka. These are the visuals that only Republic has accessed. We're in fact also being joined by Harin Fernando, who is the former Sri Lankan Minister and MP and also the Deputy General Secretary of UNMP, which is the Sri Lankan Opposition Party. And my colleague, our senior editor Shravan Sen, joins us to speak to Harin Fernando about the situation that's unfolding in Sri Lanka. Shravan.
Well, in fact, Mr. Fernando is joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Fernando, there is a lot of speculation over what really happened when the Iranian ship was off the Sri Lankan coast. Reports basically emerging that the Iranian ship had actually made a request to the port authorities, hoping that they would be allowed to enter Sri Lankan water. Any further details that you have been provided by your government with regards to whether at all there is any truth in some of these claims that are being made?
To be honest, Sri Lankan government has not made any significant real detail into this incident, whether they were prior noticed about it. And Sri Lankan people and also the opposition parties as well as political analysts are kept in the dark at this moment, at this hour, just to see whether this was informed to Sri Lanka before or was there any agreement that Sri Lankan government has gone with maybe India or United States with regards to this, and also whether we have any concrete evidence or any concrete position of the Sri Lankan government to say that this would not happen again in our waters, in our economic zone. And as you know, Sri Lanka is based on a big maritime operation, like so many vessels, cruise ships, oil tankers, a lot of them pass through Sri Lanka waters. And it's a very strategic location, the Sri Lankan port. Therefore, we are very concerned with grave concern that Sri Lanka is having. And also, we feel a bit hurt as an opposition party, as I represent the former president's party. And we do know that he has come into agreements in different circumstances with the United States with regards to securing or safeguarding the vessels in the zone of Indian Ocean.
But Mr. Fernando, I believe that as a member of the parliament, you would have been told about what really happened that day. Because if it is true that the Iranian ship had made a request to authorities in Sri Lanka for a safe passage and hoping that they would get some sort of protection from the Sri Lankan Navy, then the bigger question emerges, why is it that your government did not allow?
Well, this is the question that was asked in Parliament. There were a few MPs in the opposition yesterday claiming, opposition MPs claiming that the distress call has happened a long time before, and unfortunately, they have not responded. The Sri Lankan government has not responded until the last minute. So therefore, there are different claims. The authenticity of these claims is yet to be evaluated. But however, yesterday the current president made a statement to the media, and he also mentioned the next vessel was taken to Trincomalee Harbour and the crew was transported to Colombo. Therefore, there was a positive sign that Sri Lankan government has responded to a stressed vessel and actually recovered all of them and brought them back into the Colombo port in a safe passage. So therefore, it's mixed thoughts at the moment. Sri Lankan people, Sri Lankan politicians, Sri Lankan political analysts, even international media, all are kept in dark. But we hope to have concrete stand of the government very soon, and hopefully today or tomorrow we will exactly know. And only grave concern is that Sri Lanka is a country that depends on many of our imports, exports, many of our transshipments from our
Mr.
ports.
Fernando,
Therefore, we are quite worried.
a lack of a clear statement coming in from the Sri Lankan president about the action carried out by United States of America, even though it is in international waters, it's a clear violation. Many would assume that the Sri Lankan president does not want to draw the ire of President Trump. And it seems that because of that, there is no strong statement coming in from the Sri Lankan government.
Well, this is for debate at the moment, and everybody is talking about it because Sri Lanka is a small nation. Sri Lanka is a country that depends on its big brother India, first of all, and also we do speak with India on many of these occasions. And the angel for all these countries, the smaller countries, would be looking up to India to let us know exactly what we should be doing at this point of hour. And it is our concern that the Sri Lankan government has not yet taken a proper stand on where we should be. But the opposition parties all have come together condemning the UN Charter, the 51, Article 51, breaking that and attacking a sovereign nation. Also, it's worse when it comes to international waters, whether it could happen again in our waters, and how are we going to face this situation in future. So therefore, there is no concrete evidence from the government to say where they stand. But as an opposition parties, we all condemn it, and we stand by our nation as we should have the right to defend ourselves and defend our waters.
One final question, Mr. Fernando. If at all there was an 11-hour delay of giving permission to the Iranian vessel, which perhaps had the Sri Lankan Navy and the Sri Lankan port authorities, had they given the green signal, perhaps the life of those 180 sailors could have been saved. Is the opposition parties in Sri Lanka demanding an answer from the Sri Lankan government about whether at all there was an 11-hour delay?
Well, this is actually a big concern, and also it's a big accusation at the moment. So the main opposition party yesterday in Parliament made that statement, and a senior MP did make that statement. So the government is bound to answer to it, and I hope that there will be an investigation done in it, and proper results will be awaiting all of us, so that we will exactly know what took place, and which is a big concern, because it's out of our waters, but in our economic zone. So if that's the case, this could happen again and again. There will be surcharges on the vessels that's crossing here. So it's going to be a big concern for Sri Lanka. So we are waiting for all the answers from the government.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fernando, for joining us on this broadcast.
And thanks for that quick chat with the former Sri Lankan minister. Now viewers, quickly shifting focus to what's happening back at home in Bengal. Now the Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee is holding massive sit-in protests in Kolkata, and Mamata Banerjee